a return to regular traditional butts and chairs in the office, 8 to 5, long commutes isn't going to do our 2025 world any good. We need to, as leaders, hold people accountable and build process, structure, and communication in order to foster innovation, creativity, and flexibility so that our employees want to work where we are, stay where they are, and do their best work inside the organization. Hey, welcome to the Happy Life Agenda. It's Dani C. And I want to chat with you today about a really important topic. I saw a headline the other day that was talking about the decline of remote jobs and the heavy return to office work and commuting and all of the things that, kept us from being able to find work-life balance and really spend more time with our families and have the space to be able to take care of all of the things that 2025 life demands of us. And so the reason that I want to chat with you about that is because it's a really important conversation for women, because the article goes on to talk about childcare and how, we have not solved the problem of childcare. There's not a lot available. It's also very expensive. So a lot of families are having to say, okay, is it really worth me even having this job to offset the expenses of childcare, or is it better that I just stay home with my kids? And the thing that really struck me about this is that the return to the office represents so many things that are wrong with our society. We endured a pandemic, something that was not expected, and we proved that organizations can pivot and can leverage modern technology to continue to be productive and continue to bring people together for collaboration and ultimately success. And I would say that even in some cases, companies were able to keep people, plugged in and engaged far more hours than they were when they were coming into the office, because now you don't have to account for commute times, traffic, accidents, a lot of things that can keep people from successfully getting to the office and being able to work. You've got your kid dropped off at school and then you've got to get to work and then they have to be picked up. And so then you have to leave. And when you work from home, you kind of take some of those things out. And a lot of people are dedicating those extra hours to work and to productivity. So this return to the office is problematic when you look at it from that lens, but it's also problematic because the surrounding conversation is about hey, how come we can't better outsource our childcare so that we can work more? And we have seen a fall in the family unit since women entered the workforce. And I don't think that women don't belong in the workforce. Don't get me wrong. I am a full-time executive. I strongly believe in women working outside of the home, the fulfillment, the value, but I also believe in the value of the stay-at-home mom and spending time with our kids and pouring into our children. And ever since I had a child, I have been struggling to find that balance, because my career means so much to me, but also so does my daughter. And so how do we find balance? And I talked to so many women, and I'm personally struggling with it. And I came to realize that we have created a society that doesn't value the importance of pouring into our children, the value of the unpaid labor that mostly falls on the shoulders of women. There's not to say that there aren't families where the husband, the dad, takes on more of the role as primary caregiver. But ultimately, any individual who's raising a child has choices that they have to make. And as a society, we have said, outsource your childcare and get to work. And this all, lends to mass consumerism and the whole world revolving around money. And so I think we all need to take a step back and take a look at where we're headed. It's 2025. We proved a lot of things during the COVID era that, pollution was down because fewer people were commuting. We can work in a remote setting and still be productive. Companies can pivot. We've even, adapted to hybrid models as we came out of the pandemic and saw some, improvements in productivity and collaboration when you have that dual model. Because I do agree there is a lot to be said about, what happens in the four walls of an organization and having those sidebar conversations. Because I've experienced full-time remote work. I have experienced being at a remote office to an organization headquartered somewhere else. And the things and conversations that I missed out on just by not being at headquarters compared to being at a remote office. And then I work now somewhere that does not allow for remote work, does not allow hybrid model. And really, I see how much time I'm wasting each day because of the demand on the job and what it requires, that I lose 3 hours each day to, getting myself dressed, getting into the car, getting my daughter in the car, getting her off to school, and then commuting and sitting in traffic for an hour and then sitting in traffic on the way back home. And if there was some flexibility in there in my schedule, then I would be able to give those hours to the office and still be able to take care of the things that my family needs and not having to, choose between work and childcare. And so what I want this conversation to be, and I feel like it's an ongoing conversation, is that as women, and really anyone, if you value family life and you value mental health and taking a break from work, then you need to be having this conversation and we need to start diving in on how we can change things. If you're an owner of a company, if you're starting a company, really think about your policies. The reason that I can also say this with a lot of conviction is that there was a recent Gallup poll that came out that said workers are unsatisfied. And when you deep dive into that survey, the reasons that they're unsatisfied, it had a lot to do with, disjointed schedules. And sometimes we're remote, sometimes we're not, sometimes we're hybrid, and this person is off and that person is off, but I need to ask them a question, because you see these different models. We got remote, hybrid, unlimited PTO, in the office, out of the office, got to go to events. This person does this, but this person doesn't have to do that. And it creates a lot of, inequality in the workplace. It creates a lot of inability to communicate. And what I see more than anything else is that organizations don't set out to improve the things that make work better. I still think that there's a lot of space for innovation, creativity, and flexibility, but also when you set up process, structure, and communication and really paint a vision and a mission for the people that are on your team and empower them. And then, of course, have checkpoints for accountability. And all of these things are difficult to set up. But when you are an organization that dedicates yourself to that, then you can give your team members the freedom and flexibility that comes with remote work, that comes with hybrid models, that comes with, unlimited PTO. There are companies that do this. I mean, look at, I believe Spotify posted something on LinkedIn the other day that was really great. And it said, all of our employees will continue to be remote. They are not children. And that spoke volumes to me because it's true. Why hire someone if you can't trust them? Yes, things happen. Your kids get sick. They need to be picked up early from school because of some play or activity. But if you're passionate about your job and the mission and the vision, then you're going to be able to make all of those things work together and balance. And if you're a leader in an organization and you value your people, then you're going to find a way to make it work. And you're going to get your people to be focused on the projects that move the needle and not this like hair on fire. Everything's got to get done and everybody's got to be available to get it done. I want to really challenge people who are leading organizations to really think about what you're asking when you say, hey, let's return to full-time work, to commutes, to, what I call butts in the chair. Because if you think you have to see your people and that's how you're treating them, they're not going to be happy forever. They could be playing solitaire at their desk for all you know, but at least you see them in the chair. Is that really what you want? So think about your structure, think about your process, think about your communication. Yes, it takes time to get there, but there are, ways that you can build that. And that's something that, as someone who consults as a leader, are things that I tell my colleagues and the companies that I work with. And then as individuals, coaching them through how can they make their lives better. And a lot of it is about them having honest conversations with their leaders and their bosses so that they can let them know what they're going through and then talk through how to accommodate a schedule that works for them. So this is an ongoing conversation. I don't think we're going to solve anything in this single podcast, but I want to bring it to your attention because it's making headlines. And I did blog about this on the happylifeagenda.com where you can read. I called it the fall of family. And that is because we have seen the family unit decline and we have seen mental health rates decline and we have seen obesity rates go up. And a lot of those things correlate to what happens inside the home. And when you say that the solution to companies forcing people to go back into the office is to have cheaper, better childcare, something's wrong with that picture. Why are we outsourcing our childcare? Why aren't we working on models that foster the family unit? Why aren't we looking at how unpaid labor of nurturing a family is valued and how we can fix that in our system so that we raise children and raise humans that are prepared to handle all of that comes at them. And there isn't this epidemic of depression, this epidemic of anxiety, and people are happy and living their dreams and achieving great things as a unit inside an organization or as entrepreneurs. Nobel Prize winners do not typically come from the United States. And that is because we live to work rather than work to live. When you go to other countries, they, go out and they have long lunches where they're connecting and they're having conversations because 9 times out of 10, a lot of the great ideas that are born in an organization don't just happen because some person is sitting alone in front of their computer. It's because they're out there having conversations with other people in the organization, or even with, intellects outside of the organization that can bring a new perspective. Because think about it. Every time you hire somebody new, they bring a fresh perspective and you go, I never thought of it that way. Because suddenly you get too close to what you're doing and you can't see everything. So all of these factors play into why, if you own an organization or you're a leader in an organization, you've got to be having these conversations, because a return to regular traditional butts and chairs in the office, 8 to 5 long commutes, isn't going to do our 2025 world any good. We need to, as leaders, hold people accountable and build process, structure, and communication in order to foster innovation, creativity, and flexibility so that our employees want to work where we are, stay where they are, and do their best work inside the organization. So that's really what I want to talk about. And if you are passionate about this topic too, then I invite you to go to happylifeagenda.com/contact us and fill out the form. And in the little message box, you can just say, I'm in. And that tells me that you want to have more conversations about this mission to make sure that we find work-life balance and flexibility for everyone, and be featured on the podcast, or I can interview you for a blog if you're a little bit camera shy. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Remember, visit happylifeagenda.com, and I'll talk to you soon.